Hello and welcome to Game 2 of the final from the inaugural UK Tablet National Scrabble Championships held in London about a week ago on the 1st and 2nd of September 2018. It was a 28-round tournament over the weekend, followed by a best-of-5 final. I was in that final against David Eldar, and in the last video I showed the first game of that final, which David deservedly won. And this is Game 2. And note we have 10 minutes each for our moves. Now, the first game I analysed using Quackle. For this game, I'm going to use the Examiner feature of ISC. So you can see how the two different analysis methods compare and decide which you prefer. So it was me to go first, and this was my horror show of an opening rack. And remember, my opening rack in the first game included 2 C's and 2 Y's. This is barely any better, and I change. And here, an alternative, but keeping IUV and a score of only 14 was pretty unappetizing. I changed. This was David's opening rack, and he has a choice of bingos and plays managed. And now this is what I've drawn. I think on my opening rack I threw back all 7, or I kept just an A, and I think it was all 7. And I play Merva, which is here for 20 points, which is a higher score than any of the moves above, and the rack leave isn't too bad. Obviously slightly vowel light, but otherwise quite bingo-y. And I'm getting rid of the U and the V. Opponent's rack, David's rack rather. He plays key for 33. And now my fortunes change, and I have gutted, which I spot and play. And this is David's rack. Incidentally, a while ago, or recently rather, somebody commented on the fact that my rating had jumped from 1770 to 1830, and I mentioned that this was due to some of the games in this tournament being played via ISC, and just look at David's score, rating 2,619, which is just ridiculous, and I think some of my games against him were rated in this tournament, which was rather useful, since I think they were the ones which I won. Now, this is David's rack. He's got a choice of bingos, and he plays Serosity. And my rack, I think I play Banjo somewhere. I do, which looks fine. David plays Futzt, which is also looks fine. And now I have a blank, but I also have a ton of vowels. And I play Eve. And if we just go back, so I'm playing off 2 E's, keeping E, I, O, R. So although the score isn't very good, only 12, the best play is just 6 points better, and my 5-letter rack leave, I think, is better than any of these 3-letter rack leaves. So I'm happy with that play. David's rack, and he plays Kiner for 36, which is up there in the mix and actually looks better than the 2 moves above based on score and rack leave. Now, this looks pretty good. A choice of bingos, and I play Roofline, which is there for 74, just 3 short of the highest scoring plays, which are from the D. David's rack not looking too good, and at this point he has a lead of 35 points. He plays Hun for 24, and now having drawn 7 random tiles, they're not too great. But I play Gimp, and that looks fine for 30. David's rack, he plays Floor for 24, keeping a good rack leave. So although it's 6 points less than the moves above, this rack leave of EINR, I think, probably makes up most of that deficit, if not all. My rack, not particularly fantastic, but I have Dixit for 36. David's rack, absolutely wonderful. Plays Donaries. Surprising there's only 1 bingo there, but there is, and he plays it. My rack, and I don't play Cisco, I think I play Civics. I do for 34. David's rack, Rawbone, nowhere for it. He plays Bown, And at this point I resign, which is permissible and indeed encouraged in tablet Scrabble, because compared to retro Scrabble played with wooden boards and plastic tiles, in tablet Scrabble we have no concern for the spread. It's just a matter of who wins, who loses. If people are on an equal number of wins and losses, there's a method for determining which of them finishes higher, which I'm not sure of, but it certainly doesn't involve spread. So you haven't got to worry about calculating exact scores and score differentials. It's just a matter of who won, who lost. Therefore, since spread doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if you resign. And if resigning is encouraged, then you can get through more games in any given period. And one of the attractions of tablet Scrabble is the ability to play a lot of games within any one time period. That's illustrated by this tournament, where we played 28 games plus a final in one weekend, and also by my Thursday night tournaments at the South Bank Centre, where we get through a 6-game tournament in 3 hours between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So that's just some of the differences between tablet Scrabble and retro Scrabble. So I resign at this point because I am 110 points behind. I have this rack and I can see no way of beating David. So, and here you see the most I can achieve is 35, which is still going to leave me 90 odd points behind with David on turn. So that was the end of the second game of the final in the UK Tablet National Scrabble Championships held in London last weekend. David now leads 2-0, and it's the first to 3 who will win. It's a best of 5 final, so it's now sudden death for me. Let's have a look at game 3. So, game 3. My opening rack, but it's not me to go first, so I have to pass in order to make sure that the right person is starting the game. This starts within ISC at random, so if it's you to start within ISC, but it's not you to start according to the tournament schedule, then you need to pass, which is what happened here. So this is David's opening rack. He plays War, and quite frustrating. This felt really close to a bingo, and I made a bad move here. I played Mud. Whoops. I played Mud here, and Merle I think is a lot better. I think I knew when I played Mud that ELNR was a really vulnerable and poor rack leave, and obviously ELNR are bingo-y tiles and can make a bingo with the right pickup, but you duplicate any of those consonants and you're looking at a pretty crappy rack. However, so Merle I think a lot better. However, I played Mud for 20, which was great for David because he has Toe Heroa for 69. And then I have this rack, and this is the price I pay for keeping LNR. I do duplicate one of them. I don't have a bingo. I play Minter, which I think is fine. David has this rack and plays Void, which looks fine. And now I have a great rack. I trail by 80, but this is a bingo-y rack. And I bingo with Minstrel for 70. I could have got 8 more points by playing Testril somewhere. What high and adds. But I didn't see that, and I played Minstrel. David's rack, pretty grim. And he plays Tat for 14, sorting out the duplicates. My rack, and I have Zag for 66, which I play. And at this point I've taken the lead, which is good. David's rack, he plays Bolo, which doesn't appear on this list, but 21 points and a decent rack leave I think is fine. My rack, pretty horrendous, but I play U for 13. Probably not a great play. David's rack plays Latex for 31, and at this point we're pretty much neck and neck. However, I have this rack, I have glue cans, and I play it. So I move into a bingo lead. David has the blank, and plays Objet. So at this point I've got a 50-point lead. But I've played Glucans, I've drawn 7 random tiles, and I've drawn 3 eyes. And I played Caddy for 30. Chi for 45 was available up here, and I didn't play that. And it's hard to remember exactly why I did or didn't play any moves, and part of that reason is that these are 10-minute games. There is very little thinking time, aside from the fact that you're in the final and that you've just played 26 games in 2 days. There's the additional factor of a 10-minute time limit, and it's not so much that that creates pressure, but it's just the reality of the situation is that you don't have the time to really dwell on any given move. You're constantly looking for a good enough move. When you found a good enough move, you play it. And in this case, I saw Caddy and Cade, and I played them. And in fact, Chi was available for 14 more points, keeping a duplicate eye, and may well have been a better play. And may well have been a play that I would have seen had we been playing to 25 minutes a game, which is the time limit which is usually used for retro tournaments. David's Raki plays Eye, and I've still got a 50-point lead, but look at this. I've drawn more eyes, and this is horrendous. However, I don't change. I play Poi for 28, and I think that is better than changing. The second eye is worth -5, the third one -15, but or something like that. But the Poi score of 28 is definitely better than changing, even with this triple eye leave. David's Rat looks possibly bingo-y. He's got triple eye, and he plays Eek for 27, and he's now 40 points behind. My rack, I've still got 4 eyes. I don't see Oikist, which is really nice, although keeps 3 eyes. I do see Tippy, which burns 2 eyes, but scores only 12 points. David has this rack. He is 60 points behind. He has got 3 minutes left on his clock. What do you do with this rack? And the clock is ticking. What do you do? What do you do? This is what David did. Bang. Plays Boldface for 107. Fantastic. Completely changes the complexion of the game. Puts him into a 50-point lead. I've got a pretty good rack, but is there anywhere for me to bingo? There isn't. I played GI to create a second bingo lane, or an additional bingo lane. There are bingo lanes in columns 14 and 15, but nowhere else. So playing GI creates one in row O. David's rack. He plays Spew, and at this point he has got a 90-point lead. I've got a good rack, but there's only one tile in the bag. I've got a good rack. I have a bingo. I play it. But I still trail by 21 points. This is David's rack, not great. But he plays FA for 26, and at this point he's got a 46-point lead. And I've just got an O, so although I could play out, I don't. The game is lost. I resign, I forfeit the game, and David wins the final 3 games to love. Absolutely fantastic experience taking part in that final. David is a superb player, and as you can see from these 3 games, he pretty much made no mistakes at all, which is pretty impressive when you're playing to 10-minute time limits. In fact, in the 3-game final, neither of us missed a single bingo, so it was pretty exciting and high quality stuff. And that was the end of the inaugural UK National Scrabble Championship tournament, organised by Austin Shin mainly and David Eldar partly, and very generously sponsored to some extent by Ellie Dangor. It was a fantastic event, which I think everybody who attended really appreciated, and we look forward to the event running next year. There was a great atmosphere of camaraderie there, which is partly because of the people. They were great people, but partly because of the excitement of being part of something which is new and different. So, and talking about new and different, I've analysed these last 2 games using the ISC analysis function. I can't remember what its name is, Examiner, and run through the moves. In the first of the games, I quackled every single game, but I didn't feel particularly great about that. And the reason for that is twofold. One, I feel that the quackle results were just simply too small on the screen to properly see. I think you can see it if you've got a very large television or computer screen right in front of your face, but if you're looking on a phone or a tablet, I don't think you're going to be able to properly see it, and I want my videos to be accessible to people whatever device they're using. So I had that concern, and I also had the concern that quackling every move was just more detailed than most people would like. So I'm open to your comments about the two different methods of analysis. I think it's quite important that big games do appear in some shape or form on the internet, and in particular on YouTube. So I've given you two options in the way that I've covered the final games from this tournament. So do let me know in the comments below which you prefer. Now, this is about game 700 in the Dweebovision series of videos, and I've absolutely really enjoyed making all of these videos, and I would just like to say a few thank yous. And I really want to say thank you mainly to everyone who watches these videos. These videos wouldn't exist unless there were people out there who wanted to watch them, and I really appreciate all of you who take the time each week, whether regularly or occasionally, to watch the videos. I also appreciate everyone who clicks like and subscribe. I know some people ask for likes and subscribes in every video. I don't do that, but my appreciation for the likes and subscribes are every bit as much as great as those who do solicit them. They're important not just from a vanity point of view, but they're used by YouTube to push the channel to people who they think might be interested in the channel. And my main interest in running this channel isn't to have 1 million subscribers. That isn't going to happen. This is a niche channel serving a niche audience. But my concern is that if there is somebody out there who would really enjoy watching this channel, I would very much like them to be aware of it, and clicking like and subscribe helps people like that to be pushed information about the channel. So if you can click like and subscribe to as many videos as you like, obviously only subscribe once and don't unsubscribe, then that is appreciated. I'd also like to say thank you to all of my Patreon patrons who support the channel financially. This is the only means of financial support that I have for the channel, and it is hugely important for all niche content creators on YouTube. It's a way of showing appreciation, and it's a very practical way of supporting the costs of the channel, which I won't go into, but they exist, and it's not just replacement equipment which breaks. It's also there are regular costs for various things. So thank you very much to my patrons. And one more thank you is to everyone who leaves a comment under my videos. They are all really appreciated. I do not reply to all of them, but I do read all of them, and if I don't reply, it's because I'm being remiss, not that I don't appreciate your comments. The comments below the videos help to create a real community, and I think that they're enjoyed not just by me but other people who watch the videos. So please do keep the comments coming. So that's about it. I'm not sure if this video is going to be called number 700, but it's going to be close to that. I've recorded a few videos recently analysing the final games, but also creating videos for my regular content. So I'm going to sign off for the moment and say cheers and thanks for watching. See you next time.